we are in a big moment, an important moment for the season, and I am looking him doing the training like we want, and I know he wants, but they need big consistency available in the training, to the matches, without the injuries, without being sick, and like that, I think we can see the best Mesut with us.
So, Mesut Ozil has got to be available, consistent and not sick, according to Unai Emery. Kevin, did he sound convinced to you that he's going to get that?
Nope. To me, it sounds like he's frustrated with the whole situation. Is Mesut Ozil a top player? Yeah, on his day he is. But from the honest assessment of what Unai Emery just said, he hasn't been getting the consistency in training. He hasn't been putting the work in. That's why he's questioning it. Now, any top player would take that offensively and push to show, roll their sleeves up. I'll show you what I can do. But obviously, Mesut Ozil hasn't been doing that, and the situation's difficult at the moment. Obviously, there's a lot of fans who like Mesut Ozil, but the bottom line is he hasn't been doing it. He hasn't been putting the work in, and Arsenal ain't good enough to be able to carry a luxury player. They're not good enough.
Is he a luxury player or is he a match winner?
I think he's a luxury player. If he was a match winner, Arsenal would be competing on more fronts and winning things, which they've not done. I just, paid 42 million from Real Madrid. Real Madrid don't let their best players go. If you're a top player, I think he's got top quality on the ball. But that's not enough, especially nowadays, just not in the Premier League. And the top players and the world-class players, 9 times out of 10 are the ones that work the hardest as well.
But is this not mismanagement? I mean, there was a stat up until fairly recently that since he joined Arsenal, nobody had more assists in the Premier League than Mesut Ozil.
Yeah, possibly, it could be mismanagement of him. If you're going to, and Kev hit the nail on the head before, if you're going to get a player like Mesut Ozil, who's, saying, a luxury player, you've then got to build your team around him and get people in there that are going to do his dirty work for him.
Yeah. That defensive midfield.
Yeah, defensive midfielder and sort of defence out, so you can maybe carry him a little bit. Yeah. But we've been talking about Arsenal sorting the defence out for the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's a mess.
But, again, going back to it, if Mesut Ozil is in the side and doing what he does, surely it takes the pressure off the rest. Should you really be looking at, if you like, a thoroughbred like that, looking at him to do a lot of galloping around?
Yeah, I think you have to, especially nowadays. If you want to be a top team and you want to win things, you need everybody at it in every single game, don't you?
Well, let's look at Manchester City. Who is a luxury of Manchester City's team? There isn't one. They all work hard. They all are two-way players. When they've got the ball, they work forward. And when they lose the ball, they hunt impacts. Because Arsenal never built that team, Arsene Wenger never built that team around Mesut Ozil when he first came. New manager comes in, he's assessing everybody. This is what I want. And if you don't do it, you're going to be left out the team.
I look at Sergio Aguero before Pep Guardiola came in. Sergio, because he'd never been asked to do it, it wasn't because he didn't want to do it, would stand up there and score his goals and not necessarily press or anything else. There was a big question mark. Can he change? Can he change? Of course he can change. So if somebody like Aguero can change, David Silva, exact same thing. Quality on the ball. You look how hard he works now under Pep Guardiola. And Ozil's the same. So it's not that he can't do it. If he really wants to do it, he could.
But if you're Unai Emery and, for whatever reason, he's not your type of player, you don't fancy him, do you not put him in the shop window, get something out of him so that you can get something back for him in the summer? Because at the moment, there's not many people going to be that interested, is there?
No, I don't think Unai Emery trusts him enough. You don't trust him enough because look, this is in the results business now. If you're going to put a player out there who only plays one way, and you know you're not good enough to carry anyone, you're actually making yourself weaker. Yeah, he's a creative player. And will he create in the game? We don't know. But it actually is detrimental to the team defensively because he's not going to work back or he's not going to put the hard yards in like some of the others are. So Unai Emery has to really take a tough stance now, like he has done, There's been a lot of hullabaloo about whether
but
it's...
Kevin, who loses? Who loses? I mean, it's a massive financial loss for Arsenal. They've got an unhappy player who's not playing and, as you both just said, when he's on song, can contribute. If he's clearly not going to be able to do those things, it's never been his game, what's the point in asking him?
Well, they're not asking him. That's why he's not playing. That's really important for Unai Emery. This is the way he wants to set out his stall, and this is what you have to do to get in the team. He's saying he's not even getting it in training. He's not even getting that consistency and that work ethic in training. So if he's not getting it in training, how's he going to be able to trust him in a game?
And if Unai Emery doesn't think he's good enough to get in his team, he'll still want to finish in the top 4. And Arsenal are still within a shout in the top 4 as well.
Yeah.
And the Europa League, where they can get Champions League as well. So if he doesn't feel that he's in his first 11 and he wants to progress and get Champions League football next year and win things, then why should he put him in?
Well, go to a question here from a lady, I think you know, Kevin. She's a well-known Arsenal podcaster, Princess Guna. Ask Kevin Campbell, how is Ozil supposed to prove himself if the manager won't pick him?
No, it's not about Mesut Ozil proving himself anymore. Mesut Ozil's proved that he can't do it, even in training. So he's never going to get the chance if he doesn't do the work in training. You heard Unai Emery say there, we need that consistency the way we want to work.
But he wasn't just talking. I think that the biggest thing from that interview was he wasn't talking about in games. He was talking about his consistency in training. And I think that tells a huge story.
Yeah, but you've both played with players hopeless in training. Don't do a thing.
I was hopeless on a Saturday as well, 90%.
No, you weren't. Come on. Hopeless in training, but come match day, set the place alight and produce something special.
I've played with loads of players that were hopeless in training, but they still worked hard.
Yeah, but
I've played with loads of players. In training, they haven't been good, but on a Saturday, they produce. Mesut Ozil has not been producing in training or in the matches. Let's be brutally honest here. How many assists does he have this season?
Well,
and he started the season.
It's clearly a broken situation, but then you've got to say, all right, at what point do you look at the finances? At what point do you say to Unai Emery, look, this could be the difference. If we can offload him for something, you've got that money. Is this the best way to handle the asset financially?
I believe, this is my opinion, the door's already shut on Mesut Ozil. He's going to be gone because of the FFP. Mesut Ozil takes up a huge chunk of wages. So Arsenal are going to have to cut their losses in some way, shape or form. Whether they get anything for him or not, just getting him off the wage bill is going to create a great opportunity to be able to go out there and capture quality players to bring them in on good wages.
Just on the start, we were talking about the mismanagement of the player. What about the mismanagement of the finances as well?
Horrendous.
You know, and I'll even bring Aaron Ramsey into that.
Yeah.
Not as in attitude comparing him with Ozil, but how can he go away for nothing again? You know, to Juventus, it says it all.
Yeah.
But his attitude's been absolutely brilliant. You know, and he's a top player. But for Ozil, on his 350 grand a week, to give him that contract at that time was just crazy.
But at the time...
And that's not Mesut Ozil's fault, by the way.
Yeah, but don't forget, at the time, Sanchez and Ozil were running their contracts down.
Yeah.
So their two stars were looking like they were going to leave the club. So it was paramount that the club secured one.
Yeah. But it shouldn't have got to that in the first place.
Of course it shouldn't, but, you know, Arsenal's mismanagement of transfer policy and the signing of players has been horrendous. And now the old regime are gone, and now Unai Emery is having to pick up the pieces. And this is the type of thing that he has to do to juggle. That squad is hard, really hard.
I'm just wondering, bear in mind you two came through the ranks at Arsenal, how do you think George Graham would have handled this? Slightly differently?
Yeah, he wouldn't have been there in the first place, I don't think. It just wouldn't have happened.
No.
You know, we keep saying it's a different era and harping back, but the one thing you had to do in every training session, in every game, every minute of every day was to work hard. You know, that was there for you to go for. Anything else was a bonus.
Paul, the fundamentals of football, and everyone could gloss over, you know, about talent and this, and they don't do that now. The fundamentals of top-level football are the same. You have to have talent, and you have to work hard. You cannot get a top team who carry luxury players who don't play both ways. It's impossible. You look at Man City, you look at Liverpool, they're the top 2 in the league. They play both ways and they are relentless.
And they work the hardest.
And they work the hardest. That's what the league is. And if anybody who's deluded thinks that's not what it is, you've been there, I've been there, that is what it takes to be at the top.
What do you, having won the competition in its old guise, you both won it when it was the Cup Winners' Cup, which is now the Europa League of sorts. What do you think would be more important for Arsenal? Top 4 finish or win the Europa League?
I think probably winning the Europa League because it's some silverware and it's Champions League football.
Serves 2 purposes, yeah. Yeah. I don't think Arsenal are going to make the top 4 because the teams above them are more consistent than them and better defensively. So I think the Europa League, they have to put all the chips in the middle
I
of
think
the
United
table
and Chelsea do.
Yeah.
Not United, Arsenal and Chelsea do. Because I think United will get 4th spot.
Yeah.
Was there anybody more surprised than you when you got a Cup Winners' medal?
Absolutely not. From playing from, I think it was Brighton against Fulham on the Saturday in the old Division 2, Division 3, to getting a phone call on the Sunday to fly out to Copenhagen with the guys on the Monday and pick up a Cup Winners' Cup medal on the Tuesday. I'm a lucky little boy.